Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to another video here on Legends Lore. We are going to do a tier list here this week, and we're going to talk about Harry Potter films and the Wizarding World films, all the Fantastic Beasts and Harry Potter films. Hogwarts Legacy just came out today, so I wanted to put this video out because I just rewatched all the Harry Potter movies and I kind of wanted to talk about them. So let's dive into the tier list right now. We are going to be ranking them a little differently, still S through F, but I'm going to start with the first one, then move to the last one in released order, and then just keep alternating until we get them all so they're not in the exact release order that you normally get them in. So Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, how it's known here in the States, or the Philosopher's Stone, how it's known pretty much everywhere else. I did just go to London and got to see the studio tour, so that's probably a bit a part of it. But I just found this movie magical. I know that's cliche. It's used all the time. But this film truly captures the magic of what as a wizarding children's movie is. And since the main characters are still children and very young in this film, Chris Columbus just brings a really, really nice sense of whimsy to it, a sense of whimsy that you can't really find in too many other movies. And because of that, I think I have a stronger appreciation for the Philosopher's Stone than I originally did. And for those reasons, I'm actually going to start out with the Philosopher's Stone at A tier. So now we move on to Fantastic Beasts and the Secrets of Dumbledore. Fantastic Beasts, Secrets of Dumbledore. I saw this movie in theaters last year. I did not enjoy it. It's long, it's boring, and the plot is just nonsensical and crazy. Really did not dig really anything about this other than Jude Law as Dumbledore and Mads Mikkelsen as Grindelwald, because I think their performance and their chemistry works really well. But I felt like this film was kind of a stopgap. It didn't really push the plot forward too much. It makes me ask a lot of questions about Dumbledore and some of the life choices he made to fall in love with somebody like Grindelwald. Secrets of Dumbledore just did not do it for me. I did not enjoy my time watching this. I know we're probably not going to get any more Fantastic Beasts movies. This one did bomb at the box office, and with the new leadership over at Warner Brothers, seems like they want to go for the Harry Potter direction rather than Fantastic Beasts. I'm torn between D and F. I think I'll put this in the D tier, though. It's almost the worst of these movies. So moving on to Chamber of Secrets, the second Harry Potter film. Chamber of Secrets, I think, is also a fun, whimsical fantasy children's adventure. The problem is, for me, the tone feels just way too similar to Philosopher's Stone. It doesn't really carve out an identity of its own in its tonal elements or its general plot. I do appreciate the initial onset stuff with Tom Riddle and the beginnings of the Voldemort conflict really starting to get perpetuated as we get further and further into this film. I've always enjoyed the end with the Basilisk and the Chamber of Secrets itself, and although it has some nice fun fantasy elements, I'm going to drop it in the C tier. So now we move on to Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald. Man, this is the first time I've ever been like fully disappointed by a Harry Potter movie or a Wizarding World movie. Went into this and I liked Fantastic Beasts 1. This movie was so boring. I was bored out of my mind watching Crimes of Grindelwald. I just never enjoyed this movie. I thought it was boring, uninteresting, and really just kind of sent the Fantastic Beasts franchise down in a direction that I don't know really why they're decided to go this way. And it feels like there's just so much padding for the story overall. Like they did not get to the point in this one. They did not get to the point in Secrets of Dumbledore. This is my F tier movie. I think this is the worst of all the Wizarding World movies by far. So we move from the worst Wizarding World movie to one of the best. And I think Prisoner of Azkaban is where Harry Potter takes a massive jump forward, especially in its filmmaking, its style, its tone. We get the introduction of Sirius Black here, which is a wonderful addition. Gary Oldman is incredible as that character. We also get the introduction of Professor Lupin, who is a wonderful addition played by David Thewlis. Plus, there's a great time travel plot, which very few films do time travel really well. And on top of all that, Harry, Ron, and Hermione really get a lot more character development and really get pushed forward, both into the scope of the Wizarding World as we start to really define what the world is like and what the politics are. What does it really mean that Voldemort is coming back? Alfonso Cuarón directs it really well, but there's also a lot of really fun scenes in this movie as well. I think back to the beginning, which it has one of my favorite beginnings of any Harry Potter movie with the bus. That's a wonderful sequence. I love this movie. I think it's one of the best Harry Potter movies by far. It's going in my S tier. Now we move on to the first Fantastic Beasts film, just titled Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. This was an extremely hyped movie. It was the first Harry Potter Wizarding World movie we had in 5 years, and I remember going opening night with a big packed crowd, and it's an enjoyable, fun little movie. I think the moments when they kind of shoehorn the Wizarding World mythology into the story is actually kind of the parts that hurt it. It makes it a bit more jumbled, although that is the more interesting stuff. It doesn't really work for the tone and the characters that this movie's going for. I don't know if I ever really needed this movie, though. Newt Scamander is not really the most interesting or great character, really. It's one of those movies that is fun to watch, and outside of the things that really feel shoehorned in to tie into the larger Wizarding World mythology, it's a movie that just kind of feels unimportant. I'm going to drop Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them in the C tier. I think it's still a worthwhile film, but everything that comes after it makes me not really ever want to rewatch it. So we move on to Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. This is a movie that definitely even takes a bigger jump from Prisoner of Azkaban in its maturity level. All the characters have their crazy long hair, which, it's a look, but it's not one of my favorites. I love the Triwizard Cup in general. I think all of those sequences are really, really fun. We have the ball sequence, which really ages up our characters as they, think about taking a girl to a dance. It's a big moment for them. They really starting to feel a bit more grown up there. One of the things I've never really loved in this movie is how Ron was giving Harry the cold shoulder for the whole first half because Harry's name gets put in the Goblet of Fire and he doesn't believe that Harry didn't do it to showboat. But Hermione's really great in this. Mad-Eye Moody, even though it's not Mad-Eye Moody, is a wonderful character. And of course, my favorite part of this whole movie, and it's the thing you watch this movie for every single time, the return of Voldemort, the first appearance of Ralph Fiennes as Voldemort in his full glory. I think one of the best things and one of the most brilliant things about the Killing Curse is that it's so quick. It happens, but it's not some big, grand, ceremonious death. It just kind of happens, and we realize what happened slowly, just like our characters are just like suddenly realizing, oh, this person was just killed, and it makes your heart drop. I'm a huge fan of Goblet of Fire, and I would put this in the A tier. I think it's one of the best Harry Potter movies for sure. Next is the last Harry Potter film, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 is the biggest Harry Potter film. It's the most action-packed. It's got a huge scope, and it ties everything together really well. But every single character gets their due here. I love what Harry does. Snape is obviously becomes like the hero of the whole story in this, and it's something that's always very emotional. I love watching that scene, and I love showing people that scene when they haven't seen films for the first time. The fight between Harry and Voldemort at the end, all the stuff at Hogwarts, it's epic. It's as epic as Harry Potter gets. It's action-packed, it's exciting, and it really does feel good for all our characters. I think it is a very satisfying ending. I've always loved it for that. I'm actually going to put Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 as my top film at the top of S. I love this movie. Next is the fifth Harry Potter film, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix often gets a bit of stick from Harry Potter book fans because it is one of the largest books, and it is the shortest Harry Potter film, and you really do feel that. There are a lot of scenes that are very montaged through. There are a lot of details that are cut over, and we definitely pass through time at Hogwarts a lot faster than we usually do. And while I like that it's starting to get into the mythology of Harry Potter a bit more, it's starting to expand on Voldemort, the Death Eaters, the way all of that stuff works, as well as giving us the Order of the Phoenix. And then the battle at the end in the Ministry of Magic, all of that's great. Sirius's death is really wonderful and sad and quick. I again, really like the way the Killing Curse is used there. Bellatrix Lestrange is introduced here, and she's a really sadistic character that is always interesting to watch on screen. I love the last 20 minutes of this film. I think it all works really great, but everything else before that doesn't feel like it really handles a lot of the school stuff very well, and it doesn't feel like it handles a lot of the changes that are going on within our characters as well as it could. I'm still going to give this a B tier. I think Order of the Phoenix is a fine movie, but it does have a lot of things that you see the potential and it could improve, but it just goes for the quick route. And I think if things were a bit more fleshed out, if this movie was 2.5 hours, maybe 2 hours and 40 minutes, you would have that time to really push those things forward. Next is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. Again, like Order of the Phoenix, I think this is a movie that's a bit choppy. We have the action-packed opening where everybody turns into Harry and is trying to escape the Death Eaters. And that scene's great, but then a bunch of characters die off screen, which is kind of unceremonious because we've seen those characters for the entirety of the films. Like Mad-Eye Moody is just gone off screen. Then we have the Horcrux hunting mission, which works in parts, but the fact that they really only find one Horcrux in the movie and they spend the whole movie trying to figure out how to destroy it, it doesn't feel as satisfying. There's also character choices that feel really glanced over, like Ron leaving and getting all upset, kind of Frodo-esque from holding the Horcrux, like the ring is messing with Frodo, turning the mood of Ron. We all see that and we understand why, but he just disappears and then comes back to save Harry later in the film, and although it's explained, it's, it just doesn't feel that satisfying. This is actually a film that I really enjoy the beginning of and don't really enjoy the second half of the second act and the third act as much. The end is really ominous when we go to Luna Lovegood's house and her dad tells the story of the Deathly Hallows. The animation there is fantastic. I've always enjoyed that scene. And then we get to see Voldemort get the Elder Wand out of Dumbledore's grave, and that's a really chilling scene. It really gets you excited to see what happens next. I'm going to put it above Order of the Phoenix. I think it's a little more cohesive than that, but it's still going to stay in my B tier. So finally, we got the last film on this list, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. I've always really, really liked this film. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince gives us a lot of answers, and it's something that after 5 movies, we've kind of been searching for and begging for. I think there's still a few pacing problems. There's a few jumpy parts to this film that David Yates hasn't quite mastered yet, and really I don't feel like he masters it until we get into Deathly Hallows Part 2. But a lot of the revelations around Snape, the twist that I never really saw coming the first time I saw this film, when Snape kills Dumbledore dying in the 6th film when there's 8 is shocking, and I think that scene works really well. I like the way Voldemort's playing the Death Eaters and the Malfoy family here. I feel like Harry, Ron, and Hermione take major steps here for their character growth as well. And when Harry goes on the Horcrux hunt with Dumbledore, that's a really powerful scene as well. They do a lot to get you really attached to Dumbledore. It's kind of, when you watch it more and more, it's a little bit more telegraphed that Dumbledore is going to die, because they really are forcing you to get attached to him. Where before he's like kind of that wise old mentor figure who talks in the movies and gives some inspiration. Here you get to see a lot more sides of him, and I appreciate that. I'm going to put Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince in my A tier, right behind Goblet of Fire and ahead of Philosopher's Stone. So those are my rankings of the Harry Potter Wizarding World franchise. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't yet, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, comment below, let me know your rankings as well. I'm going to dive into Hogwarts Legacy here pretty soon. I'll let you know my thoughts on it, but I have a lot more things coming. I do actually have the video done. I know I've been talking about it for a long time. I have it done. It's coming out next week. The Legends Timeline, Star Wars Legends Timeline. Make sure you check that video out. Also, if you haven't yet, check out my other channel, Star Wars Lads. It is linked to this channel. We talk Star Wars there 3 days a week. If you're interested, we're reviewing The Bad Batch. We'll be reviewing The Mandalorian, Jedi Survivor. We're doing JFO Let's Plays. Make sure you check out that channel, and we do a lot of fun stuff over there. And I'll be doing more tier lists and more lore videos and timelines and all of that stuff coming soon. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.